Okay, we can get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. It's very lovely to see all of you. Before we officially get started, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we hold this event, the Ngunnawal and Lamri people. I pay my respects to any elders, past, present, and emerging, and I wish any members of the community present here today, in person or online, a very warm welcome. I also, of course, wish all of you a very warm welcome, especially to the author Kim Yudam, who's come here all the way from Seoul to be here with us today. So I think it'll be a very exciting event for us. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Aditi. I'm a PhD student here at ANU, and I'm very excited to be here today to get to talk to you about the book Yura as well as to discuss some of the author's other works. First and foremost, I think it would be great for us to take a moment to get to know the author and some of the works that she has done. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Baekhyun-jae, who is a familiar face to many of you at CHL. He's just going to come up and talk to us a little bit about Kim Yudam.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here with us today. This event marks the grand finale of the Overseas Translation Workshop supported by the Literature Translation Institute of Korea, ANU School of Culture, History, and Language, ANU Korea Institute, and of course the members of the Korea Lab. Over the past 7 months, we have embarked on a journey together, and I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude and heartfelt congratulations to all the instructors and participants who have been part of this extraordinary experience. It is an immense honor to welcome the acclaimed author Kim Yudam from Korea, a recipient of the prestigious Shin Dong-yeop Literary Award and the Kim Yoo-jung Writers Award. Ms. Kim's work has left profound contributions to contemporary Korean literature. Her stories often offer poignant and powerful portrayals of young women navigating the intricate, often unforgiving realities of life within Korea's patriarchal society. Her works, for instance, explore the bittersweet moments of daughters leaving hometowns for university, young adults watching their dreams slip away as they face the exhausting demands of work life in the big city, and women striving to juggle the burdens of motherhood, caregiving, and careers. Among her most notable publications are the short story collections Tambourine, 돌보는 마음, The Caring Heart, as well as the novels 이완의 자세, on relaxation, Space M, 커튼콜은 사양할게요, No Curtain Call for Me. We are truly privileged to have the opportunity to hear from Ms. Kim in person today, to immerse ourselves in her words and insights. Please join me for warmly welcoming Ms. Kim Yudam.
Thank you very much for that. As was mentioned, a few of us embarked on the journey of translating one of the author's works this year called 이완의 자세, literally translated to On Relaxation or the Poster of Relaxation. And so I just wanted to take maybe a couple of minutes of your time to talk to you about how we went through that process. So we held the 2024 Literature Translation Workshop this year over a period of about 12 to 13 weeks. This followed a workshop that we held last year in which we translated a different work. This was the gang this year. This is all of us at probably like 9 p.m. on a Wednesday evening. We met mostly evenings every week for about 12 weeks. And before that, we met for about a month discussing the book. So we held a book club where we talked about different themes in the book and the different characters. And then we went on to do the official translation workshop where we worked on a translation of the book together. So the workshop started with an introduction to translation theory by Dr. Adam Zelanik. He was the person who led the translation workshop last year. He is an expert in translation studies, and so he gave us a really good foundation to start with in terms of knowing some important theories that we could use as we went along the translation process. He's from the University of Melbourne, so I don't know if he's here today online, but it was great to have him during the workshop. And then for the rest of the about 10 or 11 weeks of the workshop, I was the one leading. I'm no expert in translation theory, but I do know a little bit about languages, and I kind of took the participants through different techniques that we could use, some more hands-on techniques about word choice, about the use of tense, about how to break down long sentences, about how to effectively translate dialogue. So we did a lot of different activities. The participants had weekly translation tasks, and they were all quite diligent. They did their homework every week. So kudos to everyone for being such great students. And so we were actually able to do an entire translation of all the 19 chapters of the books. So kudos to all of them. During the workshop, I was drawing on my experience because I had already been working on my own translation of the book. And so that translation is currently just a document on my computer. It's a draft, but with the hopes that maybe one day, fingers crossed, it could get published and a lot more people could be exposed to this incredible work that is Iwane Tase. So yes, look forward to hearing a few exclusive excerpts from it later on when we read a few passages from the books, and they'll be accompanied by translations in English. So do look forward to that. But now moving on to the main event, which is to have a discussion about the book, about the author's other works with the author herself. So the discussion will be with me and with Joseph, who is a student here at ANU. He has kindly agreed to be here today and help out, and he will also be translating the author's words into English. So to start with, welcome to Canberra. The author, for those of you who don't know, just landed a few days ago. And I think this is your first time in Canberra. So how are you finding it?
저는 캔버라에 처음 왔고, 그리고 호주 퍼스트 비지시예요. 그래서 그냥 좀 새로운 느낌이라는 생각이 들었고, 특히 캔버라는 온통이 초록이고 그린 어떤 그 바깥을 보면서 제가 살고 있는 서울은 그 회색빛의 도시거든요. 그래서 그리고 굉장히 밤에 되면 굉장히 많은 화려한 불빛이 있고 그런 회색빛의 도시인 서울과 굉장히 대조적인 공간이라는 생각이 들어서 내가 먼 곳을 날아왔구나라는 느낌이 들었습니다. 네, 초대해 주셔서 감사합니다.
So it's her first time being in Australia and Canberra, and what she felt when she first landed is it's quite green. I think I got that. And compared to Seoul, which is a very grey city with beautiful nightscapes, it's a quite huge contrast. So yeah, she's excited, but she also thanks the ANU for inviting her, and she's happy as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an experience that we've all had when we've come to Canberra and found it quite silent and green and open. But it's really lovely to have you. We're very pleased to have you. And, you know, obviously we're here at a university today. We're here at ANU. I know that you graduated from a prestigious one, for those of you who know Yonsei University in Korea. And I think you studied Korean literature. And so is writing something that came out of your studies during university, or is it something that you've always had a passion for?
저는 중고등학교 학창 시절부터 작가가 되고 싶었어요. 그래서 연세대학교에 인문계열에 입학을 했거든요. 그래서 호주와 한국의 대학 시스템이 어떻게 다른지는 모르겠지만 제가 당시 입학했을 때는 저는 인문계열로 입학을 해서 13개의 전공 중에서 하나의 전공을 선택하는 시스템이었어요.
Yeah, so ever since she was in middle school and high school, she wanted to be a writer. So she decided to apply to Yonsei University's humanities stream. And she doesn't know what the Australian system is like, but at the time when she applied to university, you had to choose between 13 different specializations or majors at university.
꼭 작가가 되기 위해서 코리안 리터러처를 전공해야 된다는 생각은 아니었어요. 그래서 저는 차이니스 리터러처에도 관심이 있었고, 또 러시아 문학에도 관심이 있었고, 혹은 뭐 부모님은 조금 더 취업에 유리한 교육학과나 심리학과를 권하기도 하셨어요. 그래서 그때 당시에 전공에 대한 고민을 많이 했었는데 대학교 1학년 때 며칠 전에 노벨 문학상을 수상하기도 했던 한강 작가의 검은 사슴 블랙 디어라는 장편 소설을 읽고 크게 감명을 받았고 제가 글을 쓰는 데 있어서 제가 프레시맨이었을 때 굉장히 큰 감명을 받은 소설이었어요. 그리고 그 작품을 읽고 난 후에 제가 이런 작품을 쓰는 like 한강 같은 작가가 되어야겠다는 좀 꿈을 가지게 됐고 그러다 보니까 한강 작가가 연세대학교 국어국문학과 코리안 리터러처를 전공하셨거든요. 그래서 나도 그러면 like 한강처럼 코리안 리터러처를 전공해야겠다라는 좀 결심을 하게 되었어요. 그래서 제가 20살 때 한강 작가의 블랙 디어를 읽었던 경험은 제가 전공을 선택하는 데 좀 중요한 영향을 미쳤던 경험이었습니다.
So when the author was in the midst of applying for university, she didn't necessarily have Korean language and literature in mind. She even thought about majoring in Russian literature or even Chinese literature. And her parents said, why don't you try something practical out and do like psychology or education? And yeah, she had those considerations. But during her freshman year, she read the recent Nobel laureate Han Kang's Black Deer and was inspired by that book. And she wished or wanted to be like Han Kang, and found out that Han Kang also went to Yonsei University and studied Korean language and literature there. So because that book was so influential to the author's kind of life or like decision-making process, she decided to pursue Korean language and literature.
Yes. Yeah, someone who also majored in literature, I relate to being told to find something more employable. And I think, yes, Hangang, the news was extremely exciting and she's truly an inspiration to a lot of people. But so coming to the author's own works, especially Yura, one of the main things we're going to discuss today. So it is set in a bathhouse. If you haven't read the book, it's set in a Korean 목욕탕, a yoptang specifically, so a Korean style bathhouse. And a lot of us, when we were reading the book as a group, we remarked that this was a really interesting setting. Obviously, that Korean style bathhouse isn't something that exists in Australia. Australians or people in other countries might think of something like a sauna or a spa. But I think they have a distinctly different feel and atmosphere to a Korean style bathhouse, which is quite a spa might have a bit more of a luxury or even a more intimate individual experience, whereas a 목욕탕, a 대중 목욕탕, is very much something that's quite public. It's a very like common shared experience. And so I think it makes for an interesting setting. And even if, you know, 목욕탕s are very common in Korea, I can't think of many works that I know that are set in one. So how did you decide upon this as the background of the story?
대중탕? Maybe probably bathhouse in Korea. 한국에서 대중탕은 한국사의 매우 고유하고 특이한 문화입니다. 물론 한국이 일본의 식민지였기 때문에 그 목욕탕은 일본 문화에서 온 것이긴 하지만 일본 목욕탕과는 매우 다른 형태의 현재의 모습으로 발전이 되었고 그래서 한국의 대중탕, 코리안 bathhouse와 K-사우나 그것은 일본과는 아주 좀 다른 형태의 문화를 보여주고 있어요. 개인적으로 저는 한국에서 그런 한국의 대중탕, 목욕탕을 가는 것을 매우 좋아하는 매니아이고요. 그러다 보니까 그곳에서 많은 영감과 어떤 소재들을 좀 찾을 수 있었습니다.
So, the Korean bath or the K sauna is quite a unique cultural element. Although you could kind of argue that it is something that come from Japan, I think the author said that throughout time it's developed to be quite uniquely Korean, and she personally enjoys going to these saunas and would call herself a mania.
한국의 대중탕에서는 목욕만 하는 것이 아니라 특히 여성들의 어떤 독특한 우먼 소셜 커뮤니티가 펼쳐지는 것을 제가 경험할 수 있었어요. 그래서 다양한 이야기가 오가고 서로 일상을 공유하는 어떤 문화들을 저 곁에서 지켜볼 수가 있었는데 거기서 보고 들은 다양한 에피소드를 소설로 좀 표현해 보고 싶다는 생각을 했고 그리고 K-사우나 한국의 대중탕이 한국인들에게 매우 대중적이고 친숙한 공간임에도 불구하고 이전에 한국 소설에서 전면적으로 다루어진 적이 없었다는 점은 좀 저에게 좀 중요하게 다가왔고 이전에 다른 작가가 쓰지 않은 것을 쓰는 것 또한 중요한 전략이라고 생각했기 때문에 그 소재를 제가 먼저 선점을 해서 신경을 써야겠다고 생각을 하게 되었습니다.
So, during her visits to these case women, the author saw many women's communities form in these case women, and she's overheard many conversations and also experienced things herself of relationships at these case women, and she thought that this was while this was a very familiar space for the majority of Koreans, it hadn't been really extensively dealt with in the Korean novel. So I thought this was interesting. And yeah.
Yeah, I think it is definitely one of the most interesting aspects of the book. It sets it apart. But of course, the other, most interesting aspect of the book, it's a very much a character-driven book. So its characters kind of take center stage, especially the book is told from the perspective of a girl called Yura. Well, she's a girl, we kind of move to her life, she becomes a young woman. And so the book is told from her perspective, but I think it will be difficult to call her the protagonist because as much as the story is about her, it's also about her mother, who features quite heavily in the book. And her mother has had a very eventful life, let's say. She's dealt with a lot of different hardships, from the death of a husband to being scammed by another man and dealing with the aftermath of that, having to raise a daughter all her own, while she works as a ttaemiri, as a scrubwoman at the Korean bathhouse. So Yura and her mom pretty much live at the bathhouse. And so while those two are the main characters, again, I'd say more than the characters themselves, it's probably the relationship that they share as mother and daughter that takes center stage in the novel. And so I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that are. Do you agree? What kind of things were you trying to convey through the relationship between Yura and her mom?
네, 매우 중요하고요. 실제로 유라라는 캐릭터의 매력보다 her mother 오해자의 캐릭터가 좀 더 인상적이고 이 소설의 진정한 주인공은 오해자인 것 같다라는 독자들의 어떤 후기를 들은 적도 있습니다. 그만큼 오해자 캐릭터를 좀 구축하는데 제가 많은 노력을 기울였다고 생각을 해요. 이들의 캐릭터를 통해서 저는 좀 한국의 모녀 관계의 복잡함을 드러내고 싶었습니다. 네.
Yeah, she agrees wholeheartedly. So other in contrast to Yura, who you would kind of expect to be the main protagonist of this novel, she heard from a lot of readers that it was actually the mother Uheja who was the real protagonist. And I think the author wanted to emphasize that she spent a lot of time and effort constructing this very complex character that is Yura's mom. And through this process, she wanted to show the complexity of the relationship between Korean mothers and daughters.
또 한편으로는 오해자라는 캐릭터는 과거에 허황된 꿈을 꾸다가 사기를 당하고 실패를 하는 인물로 나옵니다. 그 실패 이후에 자신의 어떤 과오를 반성하고 더 이상 허황된 꿈을 꾸지 않고 정직한 노동으로 자신의 삶을 감당하려는 어떤 자세를 보여주는데요. 이러한 부분들 정직한 노동으로 자신과 자신의 딸의 삶을 부양하는 여성 캐릭터를 보여주고 싶다는 생각도 했습니다.
And on one from one perspective, Oheja, the mother, is a person who used to have very far-fetched dreams, and someone who ultimately failed to live a successful life. So she kind of wanted to portray that aspect as well. And after that failure, Uheja brought herself up through hard labor, true labor, and is taking care of Yura and has raised her to be the daughter that she is, and she wanted to portray that.
ttaemiri라는 어떤 직업에 대해서 조금 더 이야기를 하고 싶은데요. ttaemiri는 한국 K-사우나에서 사람들이 때를 밀어주고 돈을 받는 직업이에요. 그리고 실제로 그런 ttaemiri, scrubwoman, ttaemiri라는 직업은 한국에서 돈을 많이 법니다. 그런데 그 직업을 아무도 높게 평가하진 않아요. 그러한 아이러니를 또 좀 보여주고 싶었어요.
So to clarify what a ttaemiri is, it's essentially someone who rubs people's dead skin in a sauna using a very coarse piece of cloth. And in Korea, people who work as ttaemiris, they make a lot of money but are looked down upon, which is an irony that the author wished to portray through the work.
예를 들자면 ttaemiri는 돈을 많이 벌지만 한국 부모들은 자기 자식들에게 ttaemiri를 하라고 권하지 않습니다.
And so, although ttaemiris make a decent amount of money, Korean parents would not want their children to be ttaemiri.
Yes, and I think that's something we see in the book as well, because the mother character herself, Oheja, while she does manage to earn a fairly okay living for herself and for her daughter, her like kind of deepest wish is for her daughter to not live a life like hers, is to kind of escape the bathhouse and live a life outside. So even she herself kind of doesn't have the same dreams for her own daughter. And so she's not a kind mother, but she is one who ultimately, I guess, wants the best for her child. And so kind of drawing more upon that, since this event is called, the K daughter, what do you think constitutes this notion of a K daughter and a K mother? Is there such a thing? How is this kind of relationship between women in Korea different to other countries or other cultures?
과거 한국 소설의 모녀 관계에서 어머니들은 딸에게 가부장적 질서를 강요하는 모습을 보였어요. 그래서 딸이 이렇게 막 튀거나 별나게 굴거나 그런 모습들을 매우 경계하고 자기 딸이 타락할까봐 두려워하는 존재로 그려졌어요. 그런데 당대의 컨템포러리 현재의 한국 소설에서 K 모녀의 양상은 좀 이와는 많이 다르게 나타난다고 생각합니다.
So, in classic or historical Korean novels, the mother and daughter relationship was kind of, they emphasized the mother enforcing this patriarchal order onto the daughter. So they were worried about the daughter becoming corrupt by, acting out of the ordinary or doing things that aren't really accepted by the social norm. But in contemporary Korean literature, the K mother-daughter relationship is a bit different.
당대의 K mother 한국 어머니들은 딸이 자신과는 다른 삶, 전통적인 가부장제에서 그런 하우스와이프로만 남기를 바라지 않아요. 그리고 굉장히 성공한 삶, 자신과 다른 삶을 성취해 나가기를 바랍니다. 대표적으로 like 조스미, Do you know the opera singer? 그것을 위해서 그 어머니들은 많은 희생을 감내하는데 딸의 성공이 어머니가 원하는 만큼 이루어지지 않았을 경우 그 딸 본인보다 더 큰 상처와 좌절을 경험하는 모습을 보여주기도 해요.
Yeah, so in recent Korean novels, Korean mothers would want their daughters to live a different life to them. They want them to succeed and achieve a lot in their lives. And for that process, they support their daughter by sacrificing a lot. And in fact, when the result is that the daughter does not end up becoming as successful as the mother wished her to be, it's almost the mothers are more upset by that fact rather than the daughters themselves. I don't know if you guys know of the opera singer Sumi Cho, who's quite successful in South Korea, but I think she kind of embodies this notion of K-daughter in the contemporary sense.
이완의 자세에 나오는 모녀 관계 또한 이런 모습을 보여주고 있다고 생각하는데요. 과거의 어머니와는 다르게 당대의 K 마더들은 딸이 성공하기를 바라고 그런 간절한 염원을 담아서 그들을 양육하는 형태의 모습을 보이고 그것은 딸과 새로운 갈등을 유발한다고 생각합니다. 그리고 그러한 모녀 관계 양상을 보여주는 소설들이 이완의 자세 외에도 백수린 작가의 친애하고 친애하는 Dear 그리고 김혜진 작가의 딸에 대하여 About My Daughter 같은 작품이 있고 제가 알기로 About My Daughter 같은 경우에는 영문판이 있는 것으로 알고 있습니다.
So yeah, this contemporary notion of K-daughter is what 이완의 자세, the book that Kim Yudam wrote, it deals with that notion. And other books that are like this include Surin Peck's 친애하고 친애하는, which is Dear, so what I mentioned, and Kim Hae-jin's About My Daughter, which she believes is translated into English.
Yeah, I think that kind of relationship is something we definitely see in the book as Yura's mom does sacrifice a lot, I think, for her to be able to achieve, well, whether they're her dreams or whether they're her mother's dreams. I guess you can read the book and draw your own interpretations about that. Yes, and also then her mother's reactions, I guess, to Yura making her own decisions and not following those dreams through, I guess. Yes, but so the book is very much driven, I think, by Yura and her mom, as well as the other characters that we see in the bathhouse. There aren't, however, a lot of male characters, which I'm personally, I have no problem with that. I enjoy that. But there are maybe a handful, one or two male characters, probably the one who kind of is the most notable in the book, who features the most, is a character called Bansu. He's younger than Yura, and Yura has known him pretty much since before he was born. She knew his mother when she was pregnant. And so he starts off as kind of this annoying little brother character who grows up with Yura. But towards the end of the book, his relationship with Yura turns into, or at least I guess they try to turn it into, something a bit more mature. The book is not friendly for children, just in case. And so, you know, as a reader, if I'm very honest, I did sympathize with Mansu. Mansu deals with his own hardships, his own troubles in life. And so I did sympathize with him, but I did also find him a little bit annoying. And so, you know, what role did you think of Bansu as having in this book? What role did you think his character plays? And is he very different from other male characters, either in this book or in the other books that you've written?
만수는 이 소설에 등장하는 몇 안 되는 남자 캐릭터입니다. 왜냐하면 이 소설은 여탕에 대한 이야기이기 때문에 남자가 등장하기 어렵습니다.
So this in this novel, the character Mansu is one of the few male characters that appears, and this is because quite obviously the book is about the women's bath, so it'll be quite difficult for a male to appear in such setting, unless you're in a pretty open society, I suppose.
만수는 목욕탕 유라 엄마가 일하는 만수 불가마 사우나, 만수 K 사우나의 아들입니다. 이 사장의 아들이에요. 그런데 이 만수는 매우 유망한 야구 선수였지만 프로 선수가 되지 못하고 좌절하는 인물입니다. 그런 의미에서 저는 만수 또한 실패를 상징하는 인물로 그려지고 있다고 생각하고요. 또 하나의 실패는 이것은 스포일러가 될 수도 있는데 만수와 유라는 어떤 인물이 같이 첫 경험을 시도하다가 실패합니다. 이러한 실패를 보여주는 인물로 만수를 미숙한 브라더로 그릴 수밖에 없었어요. 왜냐하면 조금 더 만수가 능숙하고 경험도 많고 능수능란한 존재였다면 그들이 실패를 하지 않는 형태의 어떤 모습을 보여줄 거라고 생각을 했는데 이 소설은 결국은 실패를 보여주는 소설이고 그 실패를 통한 어떤 새로운 시작을 이야기하고 있는 소설이기 때문에 만수의 역할은 미숙하고 실패를 예견하는 존재로 그려질 수밖에 없었습니다.
So Mansu in the novel is the son of Mansu's K sauna, which is the sauna that Yura's mom works at. And Mansu is an aspiring baseball player, but he did not make it. And the author wanted to kind of construct this character as embodying failure, which is what the book is about in general. And so this may be like a spoiler alert, but Mansu and Yura in the book share their first sexual experience together. But in that process, Mansu is depicted as quite an experience, and so is Yura. So through this event, the author wanted to portray Mansu as a symbol of failure, which, as I said, the book is about. But she also wished to incorporate some elements of having a new start despite these inexperienced people doing things together.
Just to, I guess, add a question, if that's allowed. So in your other works also, do you have, are there a lot of male characters, and are they similar to Mansu, or do they seem to be very different? 혹시 다른 작품들에서도 만수 같은 남성 캐릭터도 많이 나오는지, 아니면 약간 만수랑 다른 캐릭터 인물들이 있는지.
돌보는 마음에 대추라는 작품이 있어요. 돌보는 마음 안에라는 단편집에 대추라는 작품이 있는데 그 안에도 조금 만수와 비슷한 영석이라는 인물이 나옵니다. 그 인물은 만수와 마찬가지로 가부장제 사회 안에서 굉장히 귀한 아들로 키워지면서 자기밖에 모르는 인물이에요. 그리고 사실 그런 아들들이 한국엔 매우 많습니다.
So, from Aditi's question, the author responded, there's a compilation of short stories called 돌보는 마음, which is like, I'm not sure if it's over there. Yeah, I think it could be translated as the looking after heart. Yeah, the heart that looks after. Yeah, and in there's a short story called Techu, which is date, as in the jujube. It's like the jujube fruit. And in that, there's a character called Yongseo, who is similar to Mansu, that he's raised in a patriarchal society and is quite self-centered. And the author said there are many Korean men are quite like that.
If you have, if you keep track of Korean politics, you would know already. But so coming back to the book, Yuan Tase, so the title, I think over, in the event, we've called it various things, cluster of relaxation, on relaxation. It's not a very, I guess, easy title to translate into English, but the Tase in Yuan Tase can refer to either like a physical cluster, or it can also be a mental attitude. And so whether physical or mental, in the book, the character Yura seems to be unable to achieve a state of relaxation. And it's not just Yura, I think that's the case for a lot of the other characters we see in the book as well, including her mom, including other women, like the women who own businesses nearby, or the woman who is the wife of the owner of the bathhouse. And so can you tell us a little bit about that, and can you tell us a little bit about your thought process behind picking this title?
이 소설을 끝까지 읽으셨다면 이 소설의 제목이 왜 유한의 자세인지 이해하실 수 있을 거라고 저는 생각을 합니다. 유라는 소설의 맨 마지막에서 어떤 유한의 자세를 따뜻한 웜워러에 들어가서 유한의 자세를 취하는 모습을 보여주는데, 그것이 저는 피지컬뿐만 아니라 멘탈의 이완까지 보여줄 수 있는 자세라고 생각을 합니다.
If you've read the novel to the end, then you will understand why the book is titled Posture of Relaxation. And at the end, there's a scene where Yura is relaxing in a warm bath, and that kind of symbolizes not only physical relaxation, but mental relaxation.
유라는 힘빼기가 불가능해서 살아가기가 힘든 캐릭터입니다. 저는 뭔가 마음이 잔뜩 경직된 상태로는 실제로 좀 자기가 원하는 바를 이루기도 어렵고 자유로운 삶을 구축하기도 어렵다고 생각을 했기 때문에 이완의 자세라는 주제를 꼭 표현하고 싶었고, 실제로 제 자신이 매우 경직된 인물이기도 합니다. 그래서 그런 어떤 저의 경직된 문제들을 소설을 통해서 좀 해결해 보고자 하는 욕구가 있었어요.
So in the novel, Yura is a character that can't really relax. So her body is quite stiff. This stiffness kind of can also be interpreted as brittleness, I think. And in life, it's a bit difficult to get things done or pursue freedom in life if you are kind of stiff and brittle. And I think personally, the author feels the same way. He's quite has like a stiff approach to life, or is stiff herself. Yeah, throughout the novel, or through the novel, she wanted to kind of fix this problem, just ameliorate this issue that she's had throughout her life.
혹시 제가 물어봐도 되는지 그럼 책을 드시면서 그리고 특히 끝 부분을 쓰셨을 때 그런 카타르시스를 많이 느끼셨나요? Were you able to feel a sense of catharsis writing the book, especially the ending?
네, 매우 많이 느꼈고 유라가 이후의 삶에서 좀 더 자유로워지길 바라는 마음을 담아서 썼습니다.
Yeah, she said very much so, and she also wrote it in a way that she hopes that Yura finds relaxation at some point.
I hope we all find relaxation at some point. I think it should be a goal for many of us. But so coming towards the end of our official questions, one of my last questions is about the book maybe, hopefully, being one day translated and published in English. And so even if it isn't, as many of you get to know the book today and will hopefully try and read it, whether in Korean or in English, what do you hope that readers from outside of Korea, whether in Australia or in other countries, what do you hope that they can get from the book?
최근에 한강 작가가 노벨 문학상을 받은 이후로 한국 작가로서 큰 자부심을 느꼈고 어떤 면에서는 쇼크도 받았어요. 왜냐하면 한국어는 소수의 언어이고 한국 문학은 전방의 자리에 있다는 컴플렉스를 저는 가지고 있었습니다. 그런데 한국 문학과 K 콘텐츠에 대해서 지금보다는 조금 더 자신감을 가져도 되겠다는 생각을 처음으로 하게 되었어요.
So recently, Hong Kong won the Nobel Prize, and after she heard the news, she felt quite proud to be a Korean author and felt very inspired as well. And although Korean is a minority language and Korean literature is kind of considered not mainstream or popular, the author had this kind of complex. She thought after seeing K content and Korean literature kind of flourish in this day and age, it would be good to be proud of such a fact.
그리고 제 소설이 아직 영문으로 번역되지 않아서 많이 읽히고 있지는 않지만 저는 제 소설이 매우 재미있다고 생각합니다. 그래서 앞으로 호주를 비롯해서 영미권의 독자들에게도 소개될 기회가 좀 앞으로 더 생겼으면 좋겠고 저 외에도 한국 문학에 더 큰 관심을 가져주시면 감사하겠습니다. 오늘 이 자리가 그러한 출발? 어떤 first step이 될 수 있기를 바라면서 크게 감사하는 마음입니다.
So although none of her books are currently translated in English, she thinks that they're very interesting and fun. So she hopes in the English-speaking language, in Australia in particular, it will be more widely read once it's translated, or people may learn Korean. And she kind of wishes that people around the world would pay more attention to Korean content, and she also hopes that she can produce things that lives up to people's expectations. And while she sees this spot today here as a starting point of this progress, and she's very grateful to have been invited today. And she says, "Thank you very much."
Wholeheartedly agree. Lots of good things to get from Korean literature and especially from Kim Yudam's book. So could you please join me in thanking Kim Yudam for answering all of the questions? So we will obviously have questions from the audience. So I hope you have some interesting things to ask. But before that, we will just take some time to read you a few excerpts from the books. So the author will read them out in Korean and I will read out the excerpt in English. We might try doing about 1 or 2 of them, maybe 3 if we have time. So if you have the book, you can follow along if you wish. So we'll start right at the beginning. At the first chapter, first page of the book.
Yeah. 나는 종종 목욕탕에서 우는 여자들을 본다. 유난히 세수를 오래 하는 여자들. 그들은 하얀 기미 서린 흐릿한 거울 앞에 웅크리고 앉아 물을 세게 틀어놓은 채 고개를 떨구고 있다. 혼자만의 욕실에서 문을 걸어 잠그고 거울 앞에서 은은한 조명을 받으며 흘리는 눈물보다 벽탕 목욕 의자에 엉덩이를 붙이고 흐느끼다가 샤워기에 씻어내 버리는 눈물이 나는 조금 더 진정성이 있다고 생각한다. 울음조차 빠르고 손쉽게 처리하는 여자들을 뒷모습만 보고도 알아챌 수 있는 것은 그들이 나 그리고 우리 엄마와 닮았기 때문이다.
I often see women crying in the bathhouse. They take an unusually long time to wash their face, crouched in front of a mirror that has become foggy with steam, water from the tap gushing out while they stand with their head lowered. Crying like this feels much more sincere to me than crying alone in your own bathroom, bathed in the faint glow of dim lighting. These women cry while seated firmly on plastic stools in a common bath, their tears washed away by water pouring down from the shower. The crying itself never lasts too long, and any traces are always dealt with quickly and easily. But I'm quite good at spotting them. Even with their backs turned toward me, I can always tell, because they look so much like me and like my mom. The second part is on page 106.
목욕탕은 계급장을 떼고 사람과 사람이 알몸으로 만나는 곳이다. 하지만 이곳에서도 엄연히 서열과 위계가 존재했다. 여탕에서는 피부와 몸매 관리, 재테크, 자식 교육에 능한 여자들의 입김이 세고 서열이 높았다. 예쁘고 날씬한 데다 재개발이 예정된 지역의 아파트를 가지고 있고 자식 대학까지 잘 보는 엄마를 사람들이 대놓고 무시하기는 어려웠다. 하지만 ttaemiri 아줌마를 부러워하는 사람은 없었다. ttaemiri인데도 불구하고 아름답고 돈을 잘 벌고 자식을 잘 키운 여자. 엄마의 모든 행위 앞에는 불구하고 라는 수식어가 붙었다. 그것은 아빠가 없는데도 불구하고 엄마가 때를 밀어 키웠음에도 불구하고 무용을 전공하고 있는 내게도 마찬가지로 따라다니는 수식어였다. 불구하고라는 수식어는 어쩌면 불과하다라는 말과 같은 말인지도 모른다. ttaemiri임에도 불구하고 대단한 일을 해냈다고 엄마를 추켜 세우는 목소리는 역설적으로 그녀가 ttaemiri에 불과하다는 것을 우리 모녀에게 끊임없이 상기시켰다.
In the bathhouse, people met with their bodies bare, all indications of social rank and position taken off. But it was clear that status and hierarchy existed in this place too. In the women's bath, the women who were skilled at making their skin and body look good, who knew a lot about managing investments and their children's education, were the ones with more influence and a higher rank. Mom was pretty and skinny, had an apartment in an upcoming area, and had sent her child to a good college. She couldn't be easily dismissed or mistreated by other people, but no one envied the scrubwoman. Despite being a scrubwoman, she was beautiful, earned good money, and had raised her daughter well. That word, despite, followed me around too. Despite not having a father, despite being raised by a scrubwoman, I was in college, majoring in dance. It made me wonder whether despite was another way of saying nothing more. Words of praise saying that mom had accomplished great things despite being a scrubwoman felt, ironically, like the opposite of praise. They were a constant reminder to both of us that in the end, she was nothing more than a scrubwoman. And we might do one more. This is on page 127 of the book.
20년 가까이 아침마다 냉탕에서 정갈한 의식을 치르듯 엄마는 최선을 다해 크게 다리를 움직이며 발장구를 쳤다. 손님이 없을 시간이라 엄마의 발장구 소리는 매우 컸다. 물이 사방으로 튈 정도로 큰 물보라까지 만들어냈다. 엄마는 복근과 허벅지를 단련시키기 위해서라고 했지만 내가 보기에 그것은 엄마의 전 생애의 무게를 발끝에 실어 어디론가 나아가려는 움직임처럼 보였다. 지금 몸을 담근 곳이 냉탕 욕조가 아니고 큰 바다라면 아주 멀리 내가 없는 곳으로 멋지게 유형에 달아날 수 있을 것만 같았다. 그 순간이야말로 엄마는 누구보다 생생했다. 나는 냉탕에서 놀고 있는 엄마를 볼 때면 냉탕 욕조 바닥에 깔린 파란 타일처럼 마음이 시렸다. 첨벙첨벙 엄마의 발장구 소리가 목욕탕 전체에 크게 울려 퍼질 때면 내 마음은 끝도 없는 심해 속으로 텀벙텀벙 가라앉아 버릴 것만 같았다.
For almost 20 years, Mom went to the cold water bath every morning, as if performing a sacred ritual, and splashed around, kicking her legs forcefully in the water. There were no customers at that time, so the sound of her feet was extremely loud. Mom said that she kicked her legs as a way of exercising her thighs and abs, but to me, it looked like she was trying to kick the weight of her whole life out to the ends of her feet. If this had been a large ocean instead of a small bath, I feel like she would have kept swimming further and further, escaping heroically to a place where I wasn't. Mom seemed the most alive in those moments. Whenever I saw her moving in the water like that, my heart would go cold, blue like the tiles on the pool floor. With every splash of my mother's feet echoing loudly to the bathhouse, my heart felt like it was drowning, bubbling down to the depths of a bottomless ocean. So I picked those excerpts because I think they really highlight some of the most important themes in the book, and they also showcase the author's quite beautiful writing, if I say so. So once again, join me in thanking the author for allowing us to read that. And now we'd like to take some questions from the audience, including people online. So please feel free to raise your hand, whether in person or online.
감사합니다. 제가 소설 다 읽지는 못했는데 오늘 이제 이 행사를 위해서 리서치를 좀 하고 하다가 좀 깜짝 놀랐던 게 저희 부모님이 제가 어릴 때 목욕탕을 운영하셨거든요. 제가 지금 만수의 포지션을 좀 하고 이제 외동이기도 하고 그리고 제 기억 속에 여탕을 관리하시던 세신사분이 우연찮게도 싱글맘이셨어요. 그래서 이제 좀 약간 목욕탕이라는 배경이라고 해서 이런 기분이 좀 오묘했는데 이제 여기 외국 아직 번역이 안 됐다고 하셨는데 혹시 나중에 번역이 되고 이분들이 이제 읽으실 수도 있겠지만 아까 말씀하신 것처럼 K 컨텐츠라고 볼 수 있잖아요. K 사운드가. 그래서 목욕탕이라는 배경에 대해서 조금 더 설명을 해주시면은 이제 여기 계신 외국분들이 조금 더 도움이 되지 않을까. 그러니까 왜 목욕탕을 한국인들은 가는지. 그러니까 굳이 집에 샤워기가 다 있고 한데 한국 사람들은 왜 목욕탕을 가는 그런 부분을 좀 설명해 주셨으면. So, my parents used to run a sauna when I was young. So I am in the Mansu's position. And from my memory, one of the 세신사를 아까 뭐라고 하셨어요?
Scrubwoman? Yeah.
Scrubwoman was coincidentally single mom as well. So this background of K sauna was very intriguing for me. So I asked the author to explain more about K sauna, what it means to Korean people, Like for example, why do Korean people go there? Because you have your own shower system in your house, but what kind of meaning does it convey to Korean people?
코로나 이후에 많은 K 사우나들이 폐업을 하고 망했어요. 그 모여서 목욕을 할 수 있는 것들이 코비드 바이러스를 더 퍼뜨릴 수 있다는 어떤 공포가 있었기 때문에요. 하지만 그 이전에 K 사우나는 한국인들에게 매우 중요한 목욕의 공간이었습니다.
So after COVID-19, a lot of these K saunas in Korea closed down because it was, the belief was that it would spread the virus. But before then, it was quite an important institution in South Korea.
제가 어렸을 때만 해도 한국에서 샤워 시스템이 그렇게까지 잘 되어 있지는 않았던 것 같아요. 왜냐하면 저는 시골에서 자랐거든요. 그래서 일주일에 한 번 혹은 두 번 정도 퍼블릭 베스하우스에 가서 목욕을 하는 것이 우리 가족에게 중요한 일상이었습니다.
So when the author was young in Korea, the shower, like Rocky mentioned, the shower system wasn't quite well developed. So once or twice during the week, she would visit the public bathhouse, and it was an important event for her family.
그리고 그 사우나에서 따뜻한 물에 몸을 담그고 몸을 깨끗하게 씻었던 경험은 굉장히 뭔가 헬시하고 좋았던 경험으로 남아 있어요. 그래서 이후에 어른이 된 다음에 샤워 시스템이 다 보급된 다음에도 많은 한국인들이 그 K 사우나에서 목욕을 하는 것을 좋아하게 됐다고 저는 생각합니다.
So soaking in the warm water and cleaning one's body was quite a healthy and pleasant experience for the author. And even after the shower system in South Korea was proliferated, developed, many Koreans still visit these Korean bathhouses to this day.
이게 여러분들이 이해를 하셨을까요? 좀 걱정이 되네요.
이게 이제 K 콘텐츠에서 보통 제가 한국어를 배운 학생들이 가끔 이런 제일 기본적이고 저희가 넘어갈 수 있는 컨셉들에 대해서 질문이 나오는 경우가 있어서 제가 여쭤봤어요.
네, 감사합니다.
때와 때밀이에 대해서 좀 설명해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. 무슨 말이냐? 그 때밀이가 그 활동이라고 할 수 있는지 모르겠지만 이게 좀 한국의 특수성 남아 있지 않나 싶은데 그래서 그 때밀이란 지금이라고 할까? 때밀이는 그 무엇을 의미하고 무엇을 상징하는지 궁금합니다.
그러니까
Do you want me to translate that for the audience, or would you like to say that in English so I don't lose any meaning?
Yeah, so I just asked her what the activity or the job of a scrub person. It's not just a scrub woman, it's a scrub person. But if you say scrub person in English, that doesn't mean much, or it doesn't really become very specific. So I asked her what that particular activity holds in terms of significance, symbolically, or just what does it mean?
경험을 해보신 분은 아실 거고 경험을 해보시지 않은 분들이 전혀 모르실 텐데 때라는 것은 뜨거운 물에 몸을 불린 다음에 떼수건이 있어요. 한국 말로는 이태리 타월이라고 합니다. 몸을 밀면 지우개처럼 몸에서 때가 나와요. 이것이 아마 그 서양 분들은 경험 못 해보셨을 것이고 한국 분들은 경험을 해보셨을 거라고 생각을 합니다.
For those that have experienced this Korean bathhouse like body scrubbing process would know that you soak your body in hot water first, and then you get a thing called an Italy towel, which is a very coarse cloth. And if you rub your skin, dead skin rolls off like your razor poop. Yeah, so this might be a foreign concept for people who aren't in East Asian cultures or Korean cultures. So
Also, I think these days with like more as like skincare develops, I guess it is something that people outside of Korea also see. You have like loofahs or like exfoliating towels, and so exfoliating is probably the closest equivalent to this process, but it just seems like too fancy of a word, I guess, to use for the process. But that's what it is, yeah.
그런 때를 이어주는 때밀이의 상징에 대해서 조금 더 이야기를 하자면, 때는 그러면 dead skin, 그러니까 자신의 몸에서 가장 더러운 부분을 남에게 대신 씻겨달라고 하는 요구를 하는 거거든요. 때밀이에게. 때밀이는 다른 사람의 타인의 가장 더러운 부분을 씻겨주고 돈을 받는 사람이에요. 그런 의미에서 한국에서 그 사람의 돈을 많이 벌지만 그들을 높이 평가하지 않는 것은 어떤 약간의 천시 같은 게 저는 있다고 생각을 합니다. 그런 여성 인물을 욕망과 그런 여성 인물의 노동을, 그리고 그런 여성 캐릭터의 바디, 몸을 재현하는 것은 여성 서사에서 좀 중요한 역할을 한다고 저는 생각했어요.
So yeah, to kind of elaborate on the symbolic significance of the scrub person or woman in particular, is that you're requesting other people to do this kind of intimate and quite not unsanitary but kind of dirty act of, because like the person is kind of cleaning your body essentially, and you're paying them to do it. So I think despite paying a good amount of money, the job being looked down upon societally is something that the author wanted to portray, and she thinks that's the significance of the feminine, this kind of dichotomy. And she also wanted to portray like the female desire or the female labor and the importance of female body. She thinks that's those things are quite salient factors culturally that should be kind of replicated or portrayed more often in female literature.
또 한 가지 설명을 하자면, 한국 사우나에서 때밀이만 유일하게 속옷을 입고 있어요. 모두가 알고 모르는데 때밀이만 유일하게 속옷을 입고 있어요. 그래서 누가 때밀인지 그 목욕탕에서 알 수 있어요. 그런 것은 그것 또한 매우 그들에게 속옷은 작업복인 거죠.
So one thing that's interesting about them is that they're the only ones wearing underwear, public bathhouses, and this kind of shows that the underwear to them is workwear in a sense.
한국의 한 문학 평론가가 이 소설과 때 관계에 대해서 아티클을 쓴 적이 있는데요. 그 글에 따르면 이 소설은 때 같다. 왜냐하면 때가 밀어도 나오는 것처럼 이야기가 끊임없이 계속 나온다. 다양한 사람들의 목소리와 이야기가 계속 나온다. 이렇게 아티클에 쓴 바가 있습니다.
So a literary critic in South Korea has described the novel as analogous or like almost like an embodiment of death itself, dead skin, because just like there, where keep rubbing, dead skin comes out continuously. The novel, the more you read, various stories and experiences come out similarly, yeah, like there. It rolls out pretty much.
잠깐의 다른 책을 봤을 때 그 스페이스 M이라는 책을 읽을 때도 거기서도 모녀 관계에 대해서 이야기를 하셨는데 혹시 그 모녀 관계라든가 지금 그 이완의 자세에서도 모녀 관계를 표현하셨잖아요. 그러니까 특별히 그 주제를 선택하신 이유가 있는지 궁금합니다. Like 이완의 자세 in your book, is the space M in your another book. You also describe the relationship between Kim mother and Kim daughter. And do you have any reason to choose this kind of topic?
모녀 관계에 대해서는 모녀 관계와 모성에 대해 관심이 많아요. 그리고 왜냐하면 그것이 제가 경험한 모녀 관계가 너무 힘들었기 때문에 엄마와 딸의 관계는 가장 친밀하면서도 또 가장 폭력적인 관계가 될 수 있다고 생각해요. 특히 한국 사회에서 어머니들이 딸에 대해서 무리한 요구를 하거나 아니면 무리한 기대를 하거나 혹은 좀 질투도 있는 것 같아요. 그런 어떤 다양한 복잡한 모녀 관계에 관심이 많고 그래서 소설 속에서도 재현하려는 시도를 하고 있는 것 같습니다.
So the reason why she's particularly interested in mother-daughter relationship is that personally she's had a difficult relationship with her mother. It's quite a familiar yet violent relationship, and in general, Korean mothers, they either ask too much or expect too much from their children, and also has a sense of jealousy to the child. And the author wanted to portray this through her novel.
선생님, 옛날에는 일주일에 한 번이나 두 번쯤에 목욕탕에 다니셨는데, 이제는 어떠세요? 아니, 혹시 이 책을 쓰기 위해서는 자주 평소보다 더 자주 목욕탕에 가시고 관찰하시거나 그런 것을 하셨어요? My question is about, the author mentioned that she went to the public baths once or twice a week in the past. I asked her, in order to write this book, did she go more frequently to observe people so have more ideas of things?
이제는 저는 집에서 매일매일 샤워를 합니다. 하루에 두 번도 할 때도 있고요. 매일매일 샤워를 하고 목욕탕에는 잘 가지 않는 것 같아요.
So the author showers every day now, even twice days. He doesn't really visit these public baths.
이 소설을 쓸 때는 제가 작가의 후기에도 썼는데 코로나 바이러스가 코비드 시절이었어요. 그래서 한국의 모든 목욕탕이 휴업을 한 상태였어요. 그래서 이 소설을 쓰는 동안은 전혀 목욕탕을 갈 수가 없었어요.
So, yeah, in her afterword of the novel, which was written during COVID-19, it was not possible to go to these public baths for all these reasons.
하지만 과거의 목욕탕에 대한 기억과 경험을 담아서 이 소설을 썼고 지금은 일주일에 한 번보다 매우 드물게 아주 가끔 목욕탕에 가는데 목욕탕에 가는 이유는 몸이 너무 피곤하거나 혹은 글이 너무 풀리지 않을 때 가서 따뜻한 웜워터에 몸을 담그고 이완하는 어떤 생각들이나 휴식을 취하며 조금 글의 어려움이 풀릴 때가 있어요.
She did write the novel based on her past experiences going to these public bathhouses, and she doesn't visit as frequently anymore. But when she does, she goes because she's either tired or is experiencing a writer's block. And the warm water helps her relax, have relaxing thoughts, which help her overcome this writing block.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Thank you. I just have one question, which is, what's the public reaction in Korea to her writings? Has it been a big seller? Now, the other issue is not a question, but I'm astonished at the symbolism. They're watching people in the bathhouse, and then they walk out of the bathhouse as new people. Now, the symbolism is astonishing because the traditional societies of Northeast Asia, China, Japan, and Korea are at this very minute undergoing a very big revision of their identity. So here we have a symbol of people who've gone to the bathhouse tired or whatever, and coming out as refreshed and renewed, which is what they're doing society-wide across the whole region. So the symbolism is astonishing and very timely. And thank you for drawing it to our attention. And please, I'm urging younger people, young men and women, to keep writing because this helps society to encapsulate the change and deal with the changes that we're talking about.
Sorry, what was your name?
Well, the question was, I think you.
No, what was your name? Sorry, so I can introduce Chris. 크리스 씨께서 이제 첫 번째 질문으로는 혹시 이 책이 반응이 어땠는지, 그리고 두 번째 질문은 질문이라기보다 이 책에 있는 그런 상징적인 요소들을 굉장히 감명 깊게 읽었다고 얘기하시는데요. 특히 이제 목욕을 하러 들어가면은 들어간 후에 이제 사람들이 나오잖아요. 이제 몸을 이제 깨끗이. 근데 이제 약간 뭐 중국이나 한국이나 일본 같은 사회에 상징적으로 나타난다는 것도 하시더라고요. 사회 전반적으로 이제 정치적으로나 사회적인 변화들을 일단 방금 그런 상징적 요소들이 많다고 얘기해 주셨습니다. 네. So for the second part, was there like a specific question you want to
No,
ask?
it was just a comment about how astonishing is the symbolism of her writings. And it's probably because all of us are a product of our times.
질문보다는 이제 시대 산물이라고 그냥 얘기하고 싶으셨다고 하시는.
Thank you, your comment.
네, 한국에서 반응.
솔직히 말하자면 그렇게까지 많이 팔리진 않았습니다. 그런데 계산했을 때 3,000부 조금 오버해서 팔린 것 같아요. 3,000
copies. So it wasn't a bestseller, it wasn't like a big hit, but did sell 3,000 copies.
그런데 인스타그램에 이 책에 대한 해시태그가 500개가 넘게 되었어요.
But despite that, on Instagram, which is a social media platform, the hashtag for the title of this novel was posted 500 times. So the engagement was quite good.
제 생각에는 많이 팔리진 않았지만 읽은 사람들은 모두가 거의 대부분이 후기를 남긴 대단한 작품이라고 생각합니다.
Well, it didn't sell a lot. She thinks that because most people left the review, those that have read it, it's a successful book.
지금 그 작가님 그 인생을 하시면서 혹시 모녀 관계에 대한 생각이 바뀌신 게 있는지. So I want to ask, when you live your life, has your view, your thoughts on the mother-daughter relationship changed in any way?
많이 바뀐 부분이 있습니다. 제가 아이를 낳은 my son is 7 years old in Korea. 제가 아이를 낳기 전과 아이를 낳은 후에 엄마에 대한 생각들이 많이 바뀌었어요. 아이를 낳은 후에 엄마를 많이 이해하게 된 부분도 있고 또 한편으로는 더 용서할 수 없는 부분도 있어요. 예를 들면 한국의 어머니들은 우리가 어렸을 때 지금은 그렇지 않아요? 우리가 어렸을 때만 해도 아이들이 많이 체벌을 가하고 그렇게 키웠어요. 그런데 지금 생각해보면 이렇게 작은 아이를 왜 이렇게 그렇게까지 체벌을 가하고 무섭게 했을까? 라는 생각을 하면서 어떤 부분에서는 엄마를 이해하지만 어떤 부분은 오히려 내가 엄마가 되보니까 용서할 수 없다는 부분도 있습니다.
So there are many parts that have changed. In particular, after giving birth, the author currently she has a 7-year-old son, and yeah, I think she said that what changed the most was that after giving birth, she could understand her mother a bit more, and also at the same time, she wasn't able to forgive her mother for a lot of the things that she had done, because having a small child now, she said, "Oh, how could you reprimand such a small little person so harshly?" So in that aspect, she can't really forgive her mom.
그래서 모녀 관계 혹은 부모와 자식의 관계는 굉장히 복잡한 것 같아요. 왜냐하면 미워하는 마음과 용서할 수 없는 마음과 이해하는 마음과 이해할 수 없는 마음 그리고 사랑하는 마음과 연민하는 마음이 다 섞여 있어요.
So yeah, this kind of parental relationship is quite complicated because it's an amalgamation of not being able to forgive, kind of hating the parents, but at the same time loving them quite dearly. So it's a very tumultuous relationship.
Okay. I think if those are all the questions we have for today, we might wrap up. You can check out some of the author's books there, purchase and even get them signed by the author herself. So I encourage you to check that out. And thank you once again, everyone, for coming today.